Hey friends, hope you're doing well. Glad to see you back here for another video. Today, I actually wanted to talk about something that was, my interest was piqued when I found an article that I was trying to prepare for today's hot news episode, which we're not doing today. Instead, it's gonna be more of an opinion piece discussion, my thoughts, and just kind of compiling everything that I can find about this one topic and then presenting it to you guys. But before I do that, I need to let you know that today's video is brought to you by MSI's P65 Creator Notebook. My friends, this gorgeous, sweet, sexy laptop is sleek, it's powerful, has up to an i7-8750H, up to a GTX 1060 graphics card, Cooler Boost Trinity to cool all of those parts down. It's got a thin bezel on the display, an IPS level display at that, with close to 100% sRGB color saturation. You can get one-touch access with Windows Hello and an 8+ hour battery life. My friends, they call it the P65 Creator because this is a content creator's dream. Not only can you get 6 cores and 12 threads with that i7 and a dedicated graphics card, but then this thing just looks pretty too. So if you guys are interested in checking out the P65 Creator, check it out at the link in the video description. With that being said, let's go ahead and talk about this whole Nvidia thing that I've just been perusing in my brain. So this came about because we found an article that Gigabyte is actually going to be unveiling 3 brand new GTX 1060s. Yes. 2.5 years after they originally came out, we're still getting brand new versions of this card that just doesn't want to die. And I've been wondering why. Why is Nvidia trying to sell more 1060s and nothing else? Why are they pushing this one so hard? Because back when we first heard about the GTX 1060 with GDDR5X, I had presumed this is just an overstock issue. They have way too much stock, they have to sell 1060s, and we're just getting GDDR5X because that's all they have. They just have extra memory, so they just have to slap it on the best-selling card that they have of this generation. But then we found out that not only does the new 1060 have GDDR5X memory as opposed to the regular GDDR5, but it's also going to be on the same core as the 1070 and the 1080. So basically, the brand new 1060s are just 1080s cut down. And I was able to explain that by just saying, oh, well, these must be defective parts that they can, somehow strip down into 1060s. But they had that. That was the 1070s. They've been doing this for 2 years. Why all of a sudden at the very end are they having to do it for the 1060? Why introduce a new product at this point? And I think it all lies with how they're presenting the RTX 20 series. My friends, we did a video a couple months ago talking about why Nvidia doesn't want you to buy the 20 series. They actually want you to buy the 10 series, and that's why they're keeping the prices so freaking high on the 20 series, the 2070 coming in at a minimum of $550 for everything I can see on sale right now. And we're not looking to get anything in the budget range for quite some time. That combined with the fact that they were still selling 1080 Ti's and 1080s at the moment, that kind of led me to believe that they really don't want people to buy the 20 series. But now I think that probably was wrong, especially with what they've done since that video has come out, which is namely getting rid of the 1080 Ti and the GTX 1080 from stock on most stores. You'd be lucky to find any of them in stock anywhere for a reasonable price. And I think instead what Nvidia is trying to do here, they are trying to play their hand because they don't have anything in the budget region. The reason that they're selling cut down 1080s as 1060s is not because they had defective stock that they then had to get rid of even more, but rather the fact that they know that they can't sell the 1080s if they actually want to sell any sort of 20 series cards. Why would you buy a $550 2070 that's basically equivalent with the 1080 when you could have gotten a 1080 for around the $400 to $450 mark when they were still on sale brand new? The reason is you wouldn't. There's nothing compelling about ray tracing right now. There's nothing compelling about deep learning super sampling right now. The technology is cool, but the implementation in games is just not there. So it seems like they're cutting down all of the higher end cards to make space for the fact that they have nothing on the lower end, and thereby forcing anybody who wants some sort of decent performance like 1440p or 4K gaming to be forced to buy the 20 series new is what I'm trying to say. If you want 1440p gaming, it used to be that the 1080 would do something pretty proper for you, but now you have to get the 2070 at a minimum. The 1070 Ti and the 1070, well, I'm fairly convinced that even though it seems like they're still in stock right now, Nvidia is going to make it so that they just go out of stock as soon as the RTX 2060 drops, because if you can get the 1070 Ti for about $370 right now at most retailers, and you can get the 1070 close to $300 on sale right now, why would you buy a $400 2060? Well, the answer is you wouldn't, so they have to get rid of them. But given the fact that Nvidia CEO Jensen said in an earnings call to discuss their Q3 revenue that they still have up to 6 months of stock left on graphics cards, the only solution that they have is either to continue selling the 10 series as is and make it so that they undercut the value that the RTX 20 series has, or they have to drop the cards altogether and force everything down into a 1060 model, because the 1060s are running on P102 chips at this point, which is the same as the 1070, 1070 Ti, and the 1080. And it looks like they had a contract for more memory than they were supposed to, so these are going to have GDDR5X. And it looks like the 1060 is going to be around for quite some time. It still seems to be the cash cow that Nvidia wants it to be, but since they have nothing that's going to present that sort of value to consumers with their new set of graphics cards, the 1060 is going to reign for quite some time. And it's hard to blame Nvidia for doing this, because the cost of manufacturing the dies on the new Turing chips is quite substantial, because they're some of the largest GPUs ever made, but that doesn't excuse the fact that they really aren't trying to press on to give people who are normally buying the majority of their graphics cards. Nvidia is not trying to present any more value to those sort of people. The mid-range is no longer existent in Nvidia's value proposition, and the RTX 2060 is going to cost $400, which is not a mid-range card. It's obviously not flagship level, which is now $1,200, but $400 is a lot of money to spend on a graphics card. Like 1060 is mid-range, right? Like a 570 would be more mid-range.
Yeah, like I've explained the 1060 as being mid-range, and people have been like, no, it's not. It kind of is.
Yeah, no, especially when you compare it to the product stack. Like 1050, 1050 Ti, 1060, 1070, 1080, 1080 Ti. Like there's 2 below and 3 above. Yeah, that's middle of the product stack, but then $250 on a good sale, that's not a horrible amount of money. It's still pricey, and I would like to spend around $200, which, I mean, the RX 580 allows us to do that. I'd consider the 580 mid-range. Anyways, that's not the discussion I'm trying to have with you guys. Whether or not you consider the 1060 mid-range, it might be closer to the top, or it might be closer in the middle, depending on who you are. If you say it's top of the world, you have low standards. That's what I'm gonna have to say there, low standards. There is the small little hiccup in my idea, because Nvidia also has released a 1070 with GDDR5X, which could mean that they're trying to reinvigorate the 1070 lineup, but I doubt that's the case, because one, when the 1060 got the GDDR5X treatment, they actually listed it on Nvidia's site the very next day after the rumors came out and showed us that they are intending to make this going forward, whereas with the 1070, there's only one product that's out there, which is the Zotac Amp Edition, and 2, it's not even listed on Nvidia's page. If you look at it, it just says GDDR5. They're not actually trying to reinvent the wheel with the 1070 here. And that's not because these GDDR5X 1070s aren't on sale. If you look at Wootware, which is a retailer here in South Africa, they actually have them in stock already. So they're out in the wild, but Nvidia's not really pushing these. I think it's just the fact that they have an overstock on memory and they have to get rid of them quickly, and selling a 1070 with the memory is just gonna be the easiest way to do that. But the 1060 looks to be more like a brand new product that they're introducing, and is going to be what they expect people to buy if they want decent 1080p gaming and don't want to break the bank. If you want anything higher performance, you're gonna have to spend the money, because Nvidia needs the RTX cards to start being in people's PCs in order for the development of ray tracing and deep learning super sampling to gain some sort of foothold and start developing momentum. Because if they don't have the user base for it, why would game companies actually develop for it? And Nvidia has to do that, but they can't just get rid of the low end, even though they don't have a solution for the low end. So you have the 1060, which looks to remain, and then RTX 2060 and above is going to be for everybody who wants to have some sort of better performance, even if they don't actually want the ray tracing features. This is Nvidia's way of forcing RTX down our throats, because they have no other alternative, because they're too dang expensive. So the only way to get people to pay the price is to remove their options. So that's my side. Nvidia is going to sell the 1060 until the cows come home. RTX cards are are going to be expensive. They're going to stay expensive because Nvidia thinks that you need to buy them in order for their investment in this technology to actually pay off. They need the adoption rates, so the way they get the adoption rates is not by giving us something better, but to take away the better thing that we already had. This is the most manipulative relationship I've ever been in, which this is the only one I've ever been in. So thanks, Nvidia, for being my first and my best. Really appreciate it. Getting me to buy your cards because I don't need the technology, but I have to have that good performance at 4K, so I have to pay $800 for the 2080 because you got rid of the 1080 Ti, which was selling for $600. Yay! Anyways, what do you all think? Do you think my hypothesis is somewhat in the ballpark? Do you think that I'm missing the mark somewhere? Let me know down in the comments. Let's have a conversation there. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to check out the MSI P65 Creator Notebook. Yes, it's running an Nvidia graphics card, but it's made by MSI, and look at this thing. It's so sweet. Check it out at the link in the video description. I'm Brett with the UFD Tech Channel. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see your smiling faces again in the next video. Love you too.